Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. We are running a short live stream simultaneously on YouTube and TikTok channel of mine. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Please do remember that we have a protocol. If you want to ask a question, by all means, we talk about thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, relationships, breakups, why you feel the way you do, what to do to go on and move on and find bigger and better things. We talk about OCD, OCD subsets such as HOCD, components of the brain involved in that disorder, malfunction of the signaling system of the brain, and whatever else you might have in mind. If I can help it, we'll discuss it. So we need to know your your age, gender, and where you're tuning in from, like three little codes. M42, France. That's M for male, 42 for the age, and France for the country. And similar to that, F for female, or however you signify your inclination, that's what you use, and then you say the age and where you're tuning in from. We have Jashraj Behanushli says hi. Remember, we need to know age, gender, where you're tuning in from. I appreciate that. Deep Duta says, hello, sir. Again, same thing, Deep. Hello to you as well, but we need those little codes. Thomas Joseph is here. Says, you legend, I'm here. I thought you died. Lol. Well, hey, listen, the channel may die because we get no support whatsoever. Everybody sends lots of questions and we handle the questions, but no one thinks about the channel needs advertising support and new cameras and all that. So we don't get that. Therefore, I can't spend too much time. You can always go on my channel. We've got 3,000 videos and you can find your answer among all those. And none of those videos are teasers for getting any accounts or subscription. It's all about answering the questions in detail or the topic. So you guys don't need me anymore, obviously. Otherwise, you would have probably, you can always go on my site, mind@seekstruth.com, make an appointment for Skype chat, and we'll discuss what's concerning you one-on-one on Skype. In the meantime, live stream sometimes when I get a time, and over 3,000 videos on the channel on the topics that I name, and you're in good hands, I believe. Thomas says, male 22, Florida, says, life is good, just recovering one day at a time. Good for you. And Josh Raj says, male 19, says, I'm having many negative thoughts every second, and I can't ignore it because I think if I will not make compulsion, it will be real. Well, that's the nature of OCD. What happens if you ignore it? Like, really, honestly, what do you think it happens if you think your hands are dirty? That's the obsession, and you want to go and wash them, the compulsion. What do you think if you don't wash them? With all the advances in the medicine, what do you think what's going to happen? You're going to die because your hands are dirty, and you already washed it once when you came home, or 2 times. So it's not that dirty, but your brain says it is. So challenge your brain. Says, listen, you tell me it's dirty. I'm the awareness. I'm the man. I am something that lived way before you. The brain was added to me. You weren't in the picture 40,000 years ago, brain. I was in the picture for about 1 million or 2 years before you ever came to be the brain that you are today. You tell the brain that, looks, and I was running like animals and instinct. Hungry, I ate, ran, hunt, had sex, and everything was the way it was. I had no problems. My problems started, brain, when you started having the ability to think and speak. Words meant something, the suggestions and me fearful of not having what I prefer, and all those causes you to keep trying to attack that, thinking you're protecting me, but that amygdala becomes more active and sends emotional danger signals that they don't exist. And my prefrontal cortex says, oh, there must be something to it because there's a danger signal coming, but there's no danger. So it puts a narrative on it, and that narrative is usually the thing that you're most scared of or you're most against. And there you go, you start with all these negative thoughts. So the best thing to do is just call the bluff. Tell the brain, okay, you think my hand dirty? I'm going to die if I don't wash it? Well, let's see what happens. I'm not going to wash it because I washed it before. I'm not saying go dirty. I'm just saying you washed it 1 or 2 times, it's enough. Brain says it's dirty. Say, okay, let's check it out. See what happens. A day goes by or a few hours goes by, nothing happens. And you live your life. And if something happens that you touch something that, like, greasing, working on the car or something, it's time to wash your hands, you wash your hands. And still nothing happens. Then pretty soon your brain sees that it's full of shit. So starts correcting yourself. You are helping the brain to correct yourself. All right. And Thomas says, do you know all Raymond, you guys should team up? Graymond, what is Graymond? Oh, Ali Graymond. I don't know that person. So, all right, let's see what happens in TikTok here. TikTok usually is very quiet. We got lots of spectators, but they think it's a sport. They don't ask a question. Once in a while they do. But mostly right now we have what? God knows how many people watching this. There are over hundreds. Yet we have no question. Oh my goodness. I won't be surprised if it's like 600-700 people here. They all joined, but we have no credentials. Like nobody says how old they are, what their gender is, and where they're coming from. And there is no question. I'm kind of puzzled about TikTok because they're very interactive with all my other videos or channels. They're always sending questions or making comments. But when I go live, we got nothing. I wonder, does it mean they like it? They don't like it? Don't forget to push the like, guys. We need the exposure. We need both on YouTube and TikTok. Again, no one has made any question. All right. So be it. Let's go back to YouTube. And Kuro says, hello, 28 Male, California. Thank you for that. Is it Canada or California, Kuro? And Potara Gaming says, hi, Miran. Okay, thank you for that. This is, and says, I've been healing with HOCD pretty good. There's no healing involved, Potaro. You're not sick. It's just a malfunction in the signaling system of the brain that you, as the boss of the brain, gonna help it to rewire itself through neuroplasticity. The ways that I've explained on the channel's videos, the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz. We talked about experiences of Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, Dr. Leibet. Made it all simple for you to see their experiences, hence understanding that you're not the brain is not you. And all these statics, all these OCD and HOCD and other subsets of OCD come from that malfunction in the signaling system of the brain. Comes from the fact that you think you're the brain and you believe the garbage that the brain utters out. So once you understand with all the credentials, all the proof that I have provided, using quantum physics, using scholars and philosophers of 1,000 years ago, Aristotle's point of view, philosophical point of view, and using the experts in the neuroscience and in psychology in regards to experts of OCD, and we discussed their experiences and their way of helping everyone to get over this and rewire their brains, such as Dr. Schwartz ways and ERP. And we've talked about you have availability of Dr. Philipson's and Dr. Jan Wayner's discussions on the topic on the YouTube channels, and you can find their videos and you can use that. And I have got over 30,000, I'm sorry, not 30,000, oops, 3,000 videos. That's a lot, isn't it? In regards to breakups, relationships, OCD subsets, hundreds and hundreds of live stream that is recorded talking about OCD, HOCD, and other subsets of OCD. So you have all the backings that you need, and you don't need to feel that you got to be healed, because it's about the knowledge and understanding the relationship between thoughts and the brain, and then the rest of it, the fear, the overactiveness of amygdala, and how to rewire and how to bring your brain's attention to your regular daily life, and how to go through the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz, and it will all help you out to fix the glitch. Thomas says, my OCD that got stuck was that my brain got fearful that I would look at gay pornography material almost a year ago, and my brain tried to tell me, look at it just once, and it's been a year and I never. It's just the OCD again. Makes you feel like if you don't look at it, you're a coward. If you don't look at it, then you are. If you don't look at it, then you're in denial. If you don't look at it, then you're afraid. All these are exactly because you don't have that inclination. Because if you did have that inclination, you wouldn't even question it. You wouldn't even notice such suggestions. There would be no such suggestions, because HOCD always attacks what you are not. Like the opposite of what you are is what HOCD suggests. So if you were born in an island without any people around you to know what gender is, what your sexuality is, if you would be hit with an HOCD, you would exactly know what your sexuality would be, because it would be opposite of what HOCD is suggesting. Because HOCD is not going to suggest to you what you are. HOCD is a glitch and it's the malfunction in the signaling system of the brain, which always attacks you, suggests to you opposite of what your nature is. And let's say if my brain suggests to me that, oh, you like girls, well, I wouldn't notice any conflict or any contradiction. Therefore, I would not be alarmed to even make a comment. So yeah, thank you. That's the end of it. But if it says something that I'm not, then if I haven't learned how to deal with a malfunctioning brain, they'll say, what do you mean? What is that? Then my awareness notices a contradiction between what my preference and inclination is and what the suggestion is. So then there would be a reaction. But if it's telling me that you like girls and this and that, I say, well, yeah, thank you. That's the end of it. So all these times that any one of you gets your back up because the brain suggested something about an inclination that you have no interest in, it tells you that, well, it's HOCD. It's got nothing to do with you changing to anything. That's the malfunction of the signaling system of the brain. And then the scientists and psychologists, psychotherapists, expert in OCD have tried and come up with ways like ERP, CBT, and also the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz, all there to help you to ride this out and become stronger than whenever and whatever you've ever been. Yeah, Thomas. Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to. I understand. And so, and we have on TikTok, I don't know, a million people watching, but we've got no questions. I wonder how useful I am here to TikTok friends. They're all joining, but no question. Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll just go back to YouTube, see if there's any question there. And what's wrong with you, TikTok friends? How come you guys don't have any question there? I don't know, 1,000 of you here. All right. Now, remember, I don't have a lecture tonight, so if you don't have a question, then we don't have a program. Stephen is here. He says, hi, Marian. Hello, Stephen. And Stephen says, male, M for male, 43, Los Angeles. Thank you for that, Stephen. Stephen, you got the recording back. I saw your question, and I have recorded the answer for you, my response. I trust you've already received it. I don't know if you've heard it or not. Stephen says, I haven't listened to your email yet because I'm at work tonight. Ah, okay, then, fair enough. It's awaiting you. Let's see on TikTok front. I wonder if among all these people, if someone has a question, would the system actually highlight that or just let it die there? Naoto has liked the program a million times. I don't know if it allows you to do that or not. 11 new messages, but there are no messages. They're just joining the live messages. They're not really. There it is. Josh Daniel says, where did your greatest conviction come from? About what? Conviction about what? Josh? To do what? In what field? Thomas says, Miran, as long as you discard the thoughts, I guess he means, I feel like any thoughts should eventually stop popping. I'm so mad that I gave it so much attention and fear. Well, don't be mad. That's an experience. It's a cost you have to pay to learn it because you didn't want to listen to what I was saying. Of course, it was difficult at the time to keep being bombarded by the brain's activities and then wanting to know what you have to do because he was right there. You thought that there's any importance to it. But no, because when you don't exchange energy, when you don't pay attention to what the brain is suggesting, the brain indirectly receives a signal that there is no electromagnetic reaction or interaction or creation for having suggested such a thought. Such quality of thought is not going to respond with any reaction, any energy. So when there is no energy, no echo, no coming back, it eventually gets conditioned that I can't raise his attention. Therefore, that means there's no danger. Therefore, I don't have to protect him. Therefore, I don't have to make these suggestions. And eventually, it learns that everything is hunky dory. The brain actually wants to protect you. That's why it brings all these, but it doesn't know how. And it's also dealing with the overactive amygdala that sends all these signals that they don't exist. And then prefrontal cortex puts a narrative on it, and the narrative would always be to protect you. So it says there's a danger signal. Let me find out what means danger to this guy. Danger to him is something about his sexuality that he's not. So let's put that in because that fits the danger signal that is coming. So that narrative stays there. And since caudate nucleus in the striatum, midbrain basal ganglia is not working, is malfunctioning, the lever that is supposed to shut down intrusive thoughts is not working, then this narrative that is based on the danger signal that overactive amygdala send hovers there, doesn't dissipate, because caudate nucleus is responsible to dissipate, delete all these things that are not in line with your value and waste your time. It knows about your values, and therefore it dissipates something nasty or something unwanted, something outside of your preferences shows up in your brain, a suggestion, and the caudate nucleus says, that's not something that it would do. So you say, wow, that's nasty thought, and boom, gone. And you go on about your day. 80, 90,000 times a day, you have all these intrusive thoughts that you don't even notice. Everybody in the world has it. But when the malfunction happens in caudate nucleus and it doesn't do its job to pass on from all these negative or intrusive thoughts, then it hovers. When it hovers, you get frightened. What is it? Why is it here? Why is it not dissipating? Maybe there's a message to it. Then you come up with all these questions. Then you try to come to a conclusion. We are masters of living in uncertainty, because if you look at it, since we were born, nothing that happened to us, we ever knew about it before it happened, general terms. But we handled it, we managed it. So we are experts in living in uncertainty. That's how we have grown, and we have experienced and managed life, and we are here. And yet now, with all that we are expert in living in an uncertain world, because the world is uncertain. Everything has happened to us we never knew, so it was uncertainty that we're living in. But at this time, suddenly, we want to have conclusions. We want to be assured of tomorrow. How is it going to be? How is my project going to be? How is this going to be? Do I find the girlfriend that I want? Is she going to leave or not? Am I the same inclination that I like to be? Or all these intrusive thoughts suddenly are something that you want them not to be around for you to deal with, rather than saying, hey, I rely on my values and I live by my vetoes and choices, and the brain does not have any power whatsoever to turn anything into actuality unless me, the awareness, allow any suggestions ever become an actuality in real life. So I am the boss, I am the power. I've been living on this earth millions of years before this brain came to picture. So I have no fear. I am in control. Nothing can ever happen to me. Yeah, it could kind of be nasty, or I could not, I would not enjoy it, and it would be annoying, but that's the extent of it. The brain has no such power to turn something that is not realistic for you into actuality. If that was the case, well, listen, I would not know how to use my brain. Hey, I'd like to have $1 million in the bank, and because I thought of it and I really am into it, it must be there. It doesn't. If you can't do that, you can't do anything else. Don't forget, you guys are not milk. That today your milk and stays out, becomes sour milk, and it tastes a little longer. Well, it comes cottage cheese, or I don't know, yogurt, and then eventually, if it tastes out so long, it ages and becomes cheese. We don't change. You are who you are. All these that shows up is a malfunction in the signaling system of the brain, and you better get understanding. Otherwise, you start believing your brain, and that's the doomsday. All right. Bambaklut is here. Hello there. The call signs are pretty interesting. Aurelio Segura. I don't know what that means, but hello. Matt Rollock. Hello there. California dreaming. All right. Give us some of that dream we sure needed in this country, because everything's gone wacko here. And Madeline Brown, hello there. Astro Boy. Oh, Astro Boy. I guess so. It was a movie of that sort, I guess. I don't know. And IS or JS Jones, Michael James, Marwan Elias and Josh Daniel says, is there any relationship between faith and measurement with consciousness? Between faith and measurement with consciousness. Very good question. I got to think about that a little bit on my leisure time, because although I have things to say about it, it's a beautiful question. We got to determine what faith is. The fact that you want to accomplish it or you want to see something accomplished, that you cheer for it, that's faith. Something you hope for and you take measurements to make that happen, that's faith. Whether it happens or not, but at least you want it to happen. And you wish it to happen. You think it's going to happen. That's faith. And faith is usually always for positive things, good things. You can't have faith for bad things. It's just nobody focuses on that because it never happens. That's a negative charge, negative energy. Now, the consciousness is involved in faith because unless the content of the consciousness was made in such charge, electromagnetic charge, in such positive or negative charge, intentions, then the faith wouldn't come to be of importance. You would just do what the robots do. But when you do a work, you say, I hope that I do my work in such a way that would benefit such people or benefit my project or benefit my, family, whatever. So your consciousness, content of the consciousness is geared toward positivity and bringing benefits to yourself or to some other fellow human beings. As something good, there's faith in it. And your content of consciousness is through your life has always been fueled by faith, hoping to become better, hoping to become more successful, more accomplished. So I guess the more you have exercised this strong energy and commitment to see through a project, meaning relentless continuation of your efforts, the bigger faith you have. I think that's the answer I can come up with right now. That's the measurement. Josh says, thank you. You're welcome. That was a very beautiful question. I actually enjoyed it. But I think we did pretty good. That would be my answer. Brilliant. Josh says, beautiful answer. Yeah, I tend to agree, my friend. It's a beautiful question. I loved it, actually. Never had that question. So let's see what we have here. Thomas says, I'm just annoyed that it still shows up, but that is because of the months of attention, and I know the brain has to learn. Yeah, but Josh, Thomas, you are saying all these things as if you're actually discussing it with me. But you know that I've been around the block a few times. If you don't know, be aware that you're doing this because you're seeking assurance. And as long as you seek assurance, you're paying attention to the obsession that the brain has started, the OCD. You're paying attention to the intrusive thoughts. You're trying to justify whatever it is that you thought you could do better. But the best thing to do in order to teach the brain that none of that is going to phase you is just drop it. Don't analyze it and figure out or try to justify to yourself that this is why I let it go this far. As if then you knew what you knew now. If then you knew what you know now, then you could have said, well, I didn't make the right decision. But that at the time you make a decision, you believe that the decision is right. If you knew better, you would not make the decision you made. And later on, with new information, new experiences, new knowledge comes about, you start picking on yourself that why didn't I make this decision the way I'm thinking now? Then, because then this knowledge was not available to you. So you cannot really blame yourself for when you make a mistake while you have tried to make the best judgment you could. So stop, drop it. You know, the story of the two monks had gone out of the monastery for a few months in the big city to learn what the real life out there is and how they can actually imply, how can they actually use what they have learned in the monastery in the real world with all the hustle and bustle and all the challenges and so on, and become stronger in their belief and in their ability to deal with the material world and so on. On their way back, their mission finished. On their way back, it had to walk toward the monastery, which was, I don't know, a few weeks away. And they were just on their way, they had to cross a river. On the bank of the river, there was a lady that was trying also to cross the river. And the lady was very sad, says, I can't cross the river. I'm afraid it's going to take me and I'm going to be drowned. One of the monks says, so don't worry, madam, you can jump on my back and I can carry you across the river. Well, she jumped on his back and they crossed the river, the monk and his friend, the two of them, and this lady on the back of this monk. They crossed the lady, helped the lady cross the river, and at the other side, they put her down. He put her down, and she went up on her way. And from that moment, the other monks start picking on this one, says, you have sinned. Why did you do that? You touched a woman. You allowed a woman to ride on your back. The abbot had said you should not touch a woman. You have sinned. And for the next 3 days that they were walking toward the monastery, this other one kept scolding this one that you have sinned. You allowed the woman to touch you. You carried her on your back and all these things. Eventually, they were just maybe a few hundred meters away from the monastery. This monk who had carried that lady on his back turned around to the other one and says, listen, I sinned for 5 minutes from one side of the river to the other. You're sinning for the fucking 5 days, past days. So who is really the sinner? Me or you who's talking about it 5 days later still? Yeah, same thing. You think you made a mistake? We all make mistakes. We didn't know better, but we learn. Now that you've learned, apply it instead of constantly remembering the mistake, which gives more chances to the brain to think that it's been actually functional by making you still pay attention to it. So just drop it. You made a mistake, so fuck it. You did. Okay, now you learned. Move on. All right. Now let's see what we have in TikTok. Well, naturally, obviously, TikTok is TikTok. They don't ask questions. TikTok people don't ask questions. That's interesting. I guess we got, I don't know, over 1,000 people here, but nobody has question. All right, I'm useless then. That's probably what it is. Lonely, what? Lonelion. Oh, lone lion among the sheep. That's one word. Lone lion among the sheep. Says Meran, good morning from Amsterdam. Oh, Amsterdam, one of the countries that's been, I don't know, ages since I've been. I was a kid when we were first, and we used to travel with my mom and my brother when we were kids to Europe every summer. Amsterdam, Holland was lovely. I remember that. I got lost in one of your big parks there. I was, I think, 5-year-old or 6-year-old. I don't know, 6-year. I don't know. And then mom had the guards, had told the guards that I was lost in the big park. And apparently I was trying to leave the park. One of the guards held on to me. They all knew it. They closed the doors. But I remember my mother bought strawberries from the merchant out there. And me, my brother, and a friend, we were playing. We had the strawberries. And it says, male 38, says, good-looking son of a bitch. Who? You? That's the confidence. That's my boy. It says, male 38, good-looking son of a bitch. All right. It says, enjoying life. Lovely. It says, doing well financially, going to move to a bigger home. Excellent. Working out. Wonderful. Only need a good conversation. What? Conservative woman. So do I. Join the club. If you found her, see if she has a sister. None of them around. Mostly are into these feminism and all the bullshit that goes with it. No woman really is a woman anymore. Only a few, and they're hard to find, and they're worth their weight in gold. It was the olden days that women were really women, hoping to be supportive and be a team and be feminine and give all that energy and support that a man could ever need, nurturing. That were the woman. Today, it's all mixed up with causes and political bullshit to stick themselves to a cause, and they think because the cause is well known and respected around the world, and they associate themselves to the cause, therefore they become suddenly overnight famous or worthy of some kind of attention, and they suddenly become valuable, not on their own merits and what they accomplish throughout life, but just because they have attached themselves to a cause. That's bullshit that I hope that women become women again, and we start understanding that women are so important because they are women, nothing else, just because they are as amazing as they are. And they don't need to be anything else, because nothing else can be more amazing than a wonderful woman supporting to help the man to find its way when we're good at many other things, but we are not as good as what women are at, and we need their help. We need to team up with them. And we wish that them to be also believe us as we are the protectors and providers when it needs to be. We are the one who do all the hard works in life. We go to wars for them. We go to earthquakes to save people. We do the plumbings, we do the construction, we do the railroad building, we do the street, construction of roads and all that. We do all the hard things. We have a good place in here. We are their protectors. And we want to be their friends, and we want them to be our girlfriends, wives, as a woman, as it was, not as a political, gullible, feminist nonsense. I mean, look, feminism, as long as it means women can do anything they put their mind to it, like any other human being, I'm all for it. Got to get paid the same as the men, all for it. Any opportunity, be the master of their own domain, all for it. But when they want to hate men and they think they can do whatever men do, well, that's bullshit. Because they cannot do what we do, and we cannot do what they do. It's useless to compete and come up with all this bullshit. All right, I've said enough. You know, these day and age, you say too much, to cut you off. And lion among the sheep says, good luck with that invest. Yeah, that's right. No such thing. And lion among the sheep says, love you, man. Wishing you all the best. And I wish you all the best. And a lovely woman for you. And you're in Holland, for God's sake. You're the land of the most beautiful woman out there. And no offense to any other woman. Women are beautiful no matter where they're from. But Holland, Jesus, I never forget. Ahmed is here. Says, I just got out of a relationship with someone who cheated, and your videos helped me a lot. She indeed was the solution to my shortcomings. You considered her as a solution. That was the big problem. I understand. And that's why I need time to recover. Well, no, you need time to figure out that she never was the solution to your shortcoming. You had given her the position of being a solution, which was the wrong thing. Because in that way, the solution of your shortcomings is very valuable. And if you think of her as the solution, she becomes very valuable when it's not really. She's only as valuable as her accomplishments and who they are, what she brings to the table for your life, what she does for you. Otherwise, when you think of her as solution, then suddenly she becomes invaluable. And then when she leaves or something happens and you guys are not together, you think you've lost the most valuable thing on earth. But it's been always bogus. She never was the solution of you. You are the solution of your problems. And I just uploaded something last night on my TikTok. There's a last upload, and also on YouTube, the last upload. Take a look at that. You will have your answer right there. And space says age 22 male. My question is, can HOCD or SOOCD, okay, cause feeling of romantically one love? Yeah, of course, that's what HOCD is. I mean, through your brain, gives you suggestion, and because you think the brain is you and you're the brain and brain knows more than you and all that bullshit, you believe that, and therefore brain has the power to make your body react. When the brain makes up a suggestion through all these malfunction, whatever it is that it does, and then it makes the body to react to that suggestion because it has the power to make the body react, you will see the body's reaction as an actual thing, a physical thing that is happening, whether it's an emotion or itching or shaking or anxiety, whatever. When you see that and take it as a real activity in an actual world, you take that as an evidence that the thought that the brain suggested was actually correct. Because if it wasn't, how could my body react? Well, the body reacts to anything that the brain wants it to react. But that doesn't mean that reaction is an evidence that the suggestion of the brain was ever true. Why? I show you. You close your eyes and think that you're part of a tour in France. And the tour guide, when you guys land in France, takes you on a bus and takes you in outside outskirts of the Paris and to small cities and the vineyards, and takes you to this beautiful vineyards, but it's out of season. All the vines have green grapes on them because they're not ripe yet. They're all sour like hell. They're on their way to be ripe, but got months left, a month at least. So it's sour, very, very sour, unbelievably. So it gives you a cluster of these sour grapes to everybody, and everybody puts it in their mouth and bite into it. Ooh, this acidic sour thing comes to your mouth, and then he chases it with a lime, half a lime to everybody, and they squeeze the wedge of lime in their mouth, and boy, it becomes even more sour. Now, don't you have saliva in your mouth right now if you're really focused on what I'm saying? Most of you do. But is there any grape sour here? Is there any lime here? No, none. But the brain was able to make the body react with the saliva. Does that mean that there is actually a grape sour here or a lime here? No, but the brain has that power. So the reaction of the body in actuality is not an evidence that the suggestion of the brain has any credibility. So don't you fall for that bullshit of OCD or HOCD. It can make you feel the way it does, but it's got no merits, no accuracy, no credibility, because that's what the brain's power is. It can do that to the brain, to the body. All right. TikTok friends are all amazingly unfazed. They don't have any questions. All right. And Baby Yoga is here. Oh, hello there. It says, we are our own solution to our show. Okay. Now, Baby Yoga, remember age, gender, where you're tuning from. I know you've been on my live stream many, many times, but don't forget the protocol, at least as one of the older ones who have come to this live stream many, many times. Space says, my OCD not give me anxiety. My anxiety is 100% gone, all right? But feeling still here in sexual orientation OCD, and the feeling feel real exactly the same as real. Yeah, just explained it. That does feel real because that's what HOCD is. And Space says, what is your live stream time? Here it is. That's the live stream. I have no real schedule. I used to have it every week, Friday night, Saturday night, and often Saturday at 1 o'clock and then Sunday at 1 o'clock. But then also added Saturday night about this time and Sunday night. No, Friday night, Saturday night. But lately I've seen YouTube doesn't really spread the word of my live stream. I used to have many people on live stream. On Facebook, it was 500 at least. On YouTube, we had many, many, but now it's down to 6 or 7. It's like they block it to go anywhere. So unless you guys promote it, it's going to be a private channel. But TikTok, they still haven't been able to control them. We've got thousands of people here. We just don't have any question from them. That's all. All right. Space is my OCD, sexual orientation OCD, or HOC cause feeling of attraction, arousal. These are all part of HOCD. I mean, why are you so surprised? It's not like your brain is not going through any malfunction and then you expected, why is it then feeling? Because it's going through that disorder. And you got to help it as the leader, as the owner of this brain, to bring it to the default setting. And it says, arousal, etc., feel real and natural. How can I trust myself? What do you mean trust yourself? You're supposed to ignore the suggestions of this brain and rely on your awareness. Remember, you are the awareness, you're not the brain. Brain is not you, you're not the brain. These were scientific findings, not just Aristotle's philosophical point of view for 1,000 years ago, but the modern science have been able to prove it beyond the shadow of the doubt using quantum physics that I used, or using neuroscience and the scientific data, such as scientific experiences of the professors that I talked to you about, Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, Dr. Leibert. These are famous studies that they've done, like Nobel Prize echelon type of studies, and they have shown you that you're not the brain, brain is not you. So when the brain suggests something to you, you should not take it seriously at all, because your awareness suddenly lights up. And there's only going to be awareness if there's a contradiction. If there's no contradiction, there is no awareness. So if you're aware of something is not to your liking, something different than what you want, what you prefer, that's awareness. And that's because there's an actual contradiction between what you are and what the brain suggests. That's why there's the awareness. So that's what you trust. That's what you rely on, not on what the brain suggestion or judgment on a certain thought is. Because it's so ridiculous to think that you have a gauge that is supposed to tell you the pressure of your tire. But now that the gauge is broken, you still want to use the same gauge to tell you how much is it broken, like how badly is it that is showing, like how far is it from the actuality. This gauge is broken. It cannot tell you the exact tire pressure, but you're using it to actually tell you what's wrong with the tire. It's like, the brain is going through the malfunction, but you're going to use the same brain to ask it a question to answer you about the malfunction. The brain is going through a glitch. You don't use the same broken apparatus to ask it and get it respond to it and then rely on the response. So it's not about you trusting yourself. The question is, I cannot trust the brain. You can trust yourself, because what you're doing is exactly what's protecting you, your awareness that made you realize you're not in agreement with what the brain says. So something is beyond the brain that is showing you brain is full of shit. So it's not about you not trusting you. You should be focusing on, I cannot trust the brain. So you stick with your core principles, your values, what's in line with your values, and you live your life until you protect your brain and bring the brain to the default setting. You live with your vetoes and choices. You don't live with the suggestion of the brain or interpreting it or whatnot. You weigh the brain's suggestion and nonsense, if it's useful or not, based on if it's in line with your values or not, which comes from your awareness. And then you make a choice or you veto that suggestions. That's how you deal with it until you rewire the brain through neuroplasticity to go back to its default setting. Then you'll know. Because then its suggestions becomes in line with your values, what your preferences are, and then you know that you're on your way. And you become stronger, in fact. Ananya Kumar says, hi, hello there. And remember, age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Flex says, when I start, Flex, where is the age, gender, where you're tuning in from? And is it the first time for you here? Says, when I start ERP in sexual orientation OCD, my feel attraction or etc. during ERP, what can I do during ERP? Nothing. Just you're working on understanding that these things are no danger. They can't do anything to me. You're familiarizing yourself versus the reaction of the amygdala that alarms you and says, watch out. And you're going to tell him, I am watching out. I live with my vetoes and choices and my values, what's in line with my values. So I'm not worried about what the brain suggests. Therefore, there is no fear from these words or these images or suggestions, because I am in control and it's on vetoes and choices. No thoughts can make me to be something different. And then you use Dr. Schwartz's 4-step: relabel, reframe, refocus, and revalue. And after a while, it'll happen in a jiffy without you actually going through the steps. And then the brain starts not paying attention to the intrusive thoughts while you recognize them quickly, interpret them with the relabel and reframe, and then you refocus on something positive, as simple as drinking tea or taking a walk or watching a movie or listening to music. You switch your attention to the intrusive thoughts after you've already relabeled it, explained it to yourself, reframed it. Ask yourself, is there something wrong, or is it feeling something wrong? Then you can see it's all bogus, it's all hypothetical, and then you switch the attention to something positive and simple, and then the brain learns to reevaluate the suggestion of the brain and not make a fuss about it. And after a while, it's like an ERP, so to speak. You get used to that not being a threat because you understand that you are the boss, not the brain suggestions. You got to put the brain in its place by recognizing that the brain is a tool, is an organ, is not you. So what it says, well, it's gone haywire. So I help it. I help it to get back to its default setting. Flex says, what about childhood sexual experiences in really, it really changes you after some year or time? Well, at childhood, you're not responsible for what has happened. Somebody took advantage and you're a child. As a child, you cannot protect yourself. That's why it's so important for mothers and fathers to be very aware of where their children are, who they're associating with, not leaving them alone, helping being friend with them so the children will feel comfortable to talk about their experiences through the day, who they met, what was said, or the stories in the school or whatever. So they can be there and aware to protect the child. As a child, you're not responsible for any to consider yourself that you had that, cognitively uh, chose to engage in anything. Through childhood, there are many questions and curiosities that we all have because we don't understand the sexuality at the time. Anything could be interesting to us because we're still developing, and we need some attention, we need some good energy, we need some friendliness, we need some feeling of I'm I'm having a backup, I have friends. Any kind of a kindness could attract you. If that kindness could come from another boy, you may like that boy, but that is not a sexual uh, intention or interest. It's an interest that you need to feel safe by having someone's good energy and kindness as a friend, and you kind of gravitate toward that emotional bonding, but that's not a sexual emotional bonding. You may like a boy at a certain age that you say is good looking like yourself, and you like good looking people and you find something in common, and that is the feeling. But later on when you're grown up, want to interpret it, you interpret it something that it never was. So let the children be children, play, and whatever feeling is you had, it's got no interpretation for it when you're grown up. And if you had some sexual experiences, that's not your choice. You were a child. You could not have the ability to make proper judgments, and somebody must have suggested something. And as a child, you really don't know which end is up, what's good, what's right, what's wrong for you. And you haven't grown up to understand all these things by yourself. So you may have made some experiences, some mistakes to your um, to your standards today, and so be it. Move on. Kasar says, male 24, Kurdistan. Hello, Master. Hello there. I haven't had the live stream for a long time, and glad to see all you guys are here. If you don't mind, let me just open the window here so we can be a little cooler here. It's getting a little warm. All right. We have Akash Chavan says, I get to Akash, age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Let me look at the TikTok. Again, we've got thousands of people here has joined. Got no question from TikTok people. How could that be? And many of my videos, okay, so it is, says, has your own experience not simply been a manifesting mechanism of what you connect to, as you say? I don't understand. Is there a question before this? It looks like, what happened? Live will end in 57 minutes. Refresh. Why would live end? We have detected inactivity during your refresh. Uh-huh. All right. Verify to continue. All right. All right. All right. We're back. What do you mean? Okay, here we have, has your own experience not simply been a manifesting mechanism of what you connect to, as you say. I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. This is an influencer of your own philosophy. Josh, I'm sorry. I don't understand the questions. I need more elaboration. If you don't mind, if I don't understand the question, I can't answer anything. All right. Akosh says, male 22, how to unlove a girl whom I loved more than anything, but apparently she just thought of me as a friend. And now she doesn't want to talk to me. I have pure OCD and get triggered by looking at her. Triggered how? You're supposed to get triggered. I get triggered by seeing her, and for 1 year, she's going to be around me. So I don't understand. First of all, you're 22-year-old. I mean, how you come about this conclusion, if you think about it a little bit further, that at age 22, that you hardly know yourself, characteristics are still forming, experiences in life, you hardly know yourself, what you expect from life, what you want. How could you know what kind of a woman you want? You can fall in love with the tree if it's smooth enough at this age. It's got nothing to do with she's the right one I loved her more than anything else. You're 22. How many things you really love that this is more than anything else? What are those anything else? You love your father, you love your mother. These are not the same love. But you love the doggy, maybe you love the doggy, okay. But you haven't had an experience in life to compare a different woman that you had an interaction with, and you exchange emotions and experience of getting to know each other's content of consciousness to know really what love is. Because love doesn't take place just physically. That's lust. You can say, this is the woman that I lust for more than any other girl I've lust for. That's fine. I can understand that. Even at that age, you can tell the difference. You're more horny for this one than that one. You're really impressed with this one more than the other ones. Okay. But love takes place in the consciousness, and that comes through time by getting to know each other's values, compatibilities, knowing if you're there for each other, you can trust each other, you can support each other. And through life and negotiating day-to-day life, you start seeing and trusting, and then you fall in love. The rest of it is lust. So yeah, you horny for her, great. I understand that. And that's not a bad thing. That's the way, I have to say it for you to understand really what you're looking at. It's not unloving her. You so much want to fulfill your desire for pleasure that you think the fact that she can facilitate you fulfilling your desires, needs, which is pleasure, therefore she's so important because your desire is so important. Your desire, fulfilling your desire with pleasure, is the most valuable, important thing in life. And the fact that she can facilitate that fulfillment for what your desires, you think of her as the most important thing in your life, but she's not. You got to judge her importance based on what she has accomplished in life, what characteristics she has, what does she bring to the table, how does she affect your life, other than the emotional and the, lust and all that. And you want to be companionship, you kiss her and love her, and I protect her. These are the feelings that 22-year-old till we die, we all have it about women. But you have to understand that at that age, you don't even know 5 years from now what kind of man you are, and if this kind of woman would impress you, or a better woman would impress you with different qualities. So the fact that you think, I have to unlove her, you don't have to unlove her. You can keep loving her, because that's not love. And as soon as you actually get your act together and see somebody prettier or someone who pays more attention to you, you'll say, well, why did I even love this one? I love this one. And you'll beat yourself in the head that why did I waste my life? So relax. She's a year around you, and the fact that you couldn't have her, you're hurt. And you think, Oh, because she doesn't allow me to be her friend, then I want her more. That's how we are. Just say, listen, there's so many other amazing women out there that I'm going to meet. I'll be patient and I'll see that I'll just pass by. Nothing's going to happen. Watch my latest video uploaded on YouTube and you'll see the point that I'm making there. Yeah. Your thoughts of her being with somebody else and having intimate relation with another guy, it, tears you apart. I know, but that's normal. That's because you're a guy. A man like you, that's how we feel. We don't like, the girl that we like, because we feel like, oh, if she goes to bed with somebody else, that means I'm not as good as that other guy. We always compare ourselves. Why? Because ever since childhood, they compared us with the other things. The other, oh, your uncle's boy, uncle's son, see, he got an A in math. Oh, what a big deal. So you look at your cousins, and she's so polite, and she's so neat and well dressed and well mannered. So everybody is compared, and you think you're not good enough. Now, last thing you want is some girl that you like is preferring some other guy. You gotta say that she's so dumb shit stupid that she actually doesn't prefer me, prefers this guy. So that means she's not qualified. Why? Because she chose somebody else. Why would you want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you? Have respect for yourself. That's how you should think. If she prefers somebody else, then she's not smart enough. You want someone who wants to choose you, and that's the smart girl you want to go after. So there you go. And Akash says male, 22 years. Okay. All right. Felix says, thanks. I understand. So basically, childhood sexual experience is not your sexuality. It normally, yeah, it's of course not. You're a child. You don't fucking know anything. And so easily they can take advantage of you, and you, out of politeness, out of your mannerism, you don't know what to do. Is somebody is older than you or somebody is the same age, but they're, um, kind of bold enough to, or not educated enough, or trained enough, or not well mannered, that they start doing something. They probably, whoever it was maybe older than you. But anyhow, these kind of people all around, that they try to take advantage of children, and the children, if they're not understanding that they were a child, they were not in control, somebody else was, they would have trauma later on. These sort of perverts are all around. So that's why parents should really take care of their children, who they're associating with and who's around them. Akash says, so, sir, we were close to each other 24/7 for 2. So big fucking deal. Just because she was close to you and you guys were, this is what happens. Boys and girls at a certain age, especially if the girl is a looker, can't really be friends, because there's always going to be, the boy is going to want to be more than a friend because she's a female, and we're programmed in our, in our genetic code, we pursue women. And if they are attractive to us, meet our aesthetics, it's not up to us. We lust for them and want to be closer. We want to see how we can fall in love with her. We want to know more about her. So being 2 years close to each other 24/7, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to think she's your girlfriend, and you're going to have urges towards her. That's normal. But just because that was the case, if she doesn't want to be with you, then she's not qualified. The only woman that is qualified to be with you, no matter how much you might like her, she's still not qualified as long as she hasn't expressed that she wants to be with you. First of all, it's a respect to her wishes. At the same time, it's respect to you. Why would you want to be with a woman who doesn't want to be with you, doesn't appreciate, doesn't have the brains to appreciate such a man like you? You should have more confidence in yourself. So move on. Move on. She's not the last girl in the world, and you don't have to conquer her to feel that, oh, I'm the man. Who the fuck is she? What has she accomplished that she's so high and mighty that if you have her, then you have become the man of the ages? No, you still got to go and do your studies and get a good job and build yourself and learn things or two, and then find a real woman at that age that you're older and she would be older, and then you will develop on that. This one is experience. You got to have these experiences to become good at knowing how to treat a woman, how to choose a woman, and then from that you learn and you make better choices. That's all. And do we have any question on TikTok? Obviously not. Okay, guys, it's been 1 hour and 12 minutes. I've answered everyone's question who asked anything. And I think that's good enough for now. I'm going to watch a movie or do some videos or, I don't know, make some tea and just goof off and then hit the sack. So I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. And don't forget to like the program, both on YouTube and on TikTok, if you will, and support the channel any way you can. Promote the people to know that this channel exists and has many answers for the question regarding thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego, breakups, how to give back, how to endure what you're going through and not to be devastated, why you feel the way you do, and so on and so forth, plus OCD, OCD subset, understanding the mechanism of this disorder and the components of the brain that are involved in this malfunction of the signaling system of the brain, and the ways that is suggested through philosophical point of view and scientific point of view, how to help your brain to rewire itself through neuroplasticity, get back to its default setting. So I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.